What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. So, I would really love to be a fly on the wall in the Burnley dressing room after that match, because holy crap. Oh, what Sean Dyche must have said to his team, because, I mean, man, to go from first half where you're comfortably, you're defending well enough, you're stifling the match, so they're not, we're not getting any chances, and then, dumping it long, going for that counter-attacking style. I mean, it was working for him. And it just felt like it was going to be a frustrating game for us to watch because we weren't doing anything really in the first half. To go from that and then within the first 10 minutes just throw it all away. And it's not like we just suddenly stepped up our game and were so much better. They were just terrible in the second half. I mean, granted, that did help us get some momentum and we did start playing better once they dropped off. But a lot of it starts from them and how bad the defending was. I mean, you look at the goals, first one, four guys behind the ball, but only one is defending. And I say defending because I don't call lunging in every single time James fakes a shot defending. I don't call that good defending. That's just you're lunging in, and nobody behind him is helping. So James just fake, shot, goal. It was just terrible. The second one, you've got Havertz basically just wide open to the back post. Whoever was the right back was completely lost him. And then Pulisic has plenty of time to pick him out. And then Havertz, I mean, just easy little nod in while Pope does his imitation of Kepa. I mean, it was super easy to score that one. Third one, a bit better. We did hit him on the counter because they were stepping out a little bit. So James able to get in behind and then send it across for Havertz to do a kind of Rabona. He didn't mean to. He meant to swing, hit it with his right, but then it missed, and then hit it with his other foot coming around. And then obviously the last one is just terrible Tarkowski mistake. But I mean, all of them just really easy for us to score when we had so much difficulty in the first half, and mainly down to the fact that Burnley really just, I don't know if they lost their focus, I don't know if they started to get tired, but it was really, really bad defending. It was a disaster class. So, I mean, I'm not complaining. It's just I don't know what happened because I'm so used to Burnley being such a difficult team to play against. They're very compact. They're very good at blocking runs. Honestly, I was waiting for Kovacic to come on, make a difference in the midfield. Werner to come on, make a difference up top. They're running in their physical ability really just to make things happen and cause problems for the defenders. I was waiting for that to be kind of the breakthrough. So when all of a sudden we were 3 up after 10 minutes in the second half, I was so confused as to what just happened. But again, I'm happy because I'm a Chelsea fan obviously, but also I'm somebody who wants Burnley to get relegated, so I would not mind if we got to spend all season next season not having to worry about playing a team that could possibly injure 3 of our players because their tackles are terrible. But that's just me. Yeah. I know there's some other people out there that feel the way that I do, but then of course there's some that are like, "Oh, you're just a wussy little snowflake. That's real football. You gotta get in there. You gotta get stuck in." Like, this is an entertainment. The sport is an entertainment for us, and I don't want to not be entertained because 3 of our best players are missing because we faced Burnley in the last match and they ripped apart 3 of their knees. Anyways, but yeah, as far as Tuchel's concerned in the lineup, a little bit hindered. No Alonso, no Espilicueta today. Joel's still out, of course. So as far as the lineup is concerned, it's not terrible. Saul on the left side, I mean, he's a better option than Sarr, I guess. Again, it's one where I do wish we could have seen Kennedy today, possibly, just to see what is he capable of with Rudiger behind him, and he doesn't have to worry about defending as much. But also, I get, Saul did play pretty well against Luton, so he's being rewarded for that. But the problem I have with that mentality is Jorginho didn't play well against Luton, and Kovacic was dominant against Liverpool. He was the Conte in that match. So why does Jorginho start over Kovacic? I really don't get that. And honestly, a lot of our problem in the first half is we kept losing the battles in the midfield because Jorginho was too slow. With Kovacic in there, we would have had a lot more energy. We would have had a lot more pace and strength. Or even Loftus-Cheek. So I don't really get why Jorginho starts this match. Because he didn't do anything against Luton to make me think, oh yeah, Jorginho's great, and I've not thought he's great for pretty much since he came in under Sarri. So I don't really know what Tuchel saw to make him go, yes, I want Jorginho to play again today. Because he struggled against a championship side. So, of course, he's going to struggle against a future championship side. Just makes sense. And then for the front three, I don't really have a problem with it. Ziyech, I would like to see him get back in, but I know he's returning from injury, so don't want to rush him. And then as far as the subs, two of them were kind of forced upon him because Conte looked like he was probably feeling something by the end there. And I think I saw him talking to the trainer when he got over to the bench, so hopefully it's nothing bad. He's really not been himself recently, though. It seems like he's still dealing with something, and he has been plagued by injuries recently. Now, everybody who's saying, well, we need to get rid of him because of that, you're stupid. But I do hope that he can get back to the form and the fitness that we've seen from him previously, because without him, our midfield is very weak right now. And then James was the other one, and that one's just probably, limiting his minutes. Don't want to throw him back into it, 100% for the full 90 minutes. As far as the subs that came on for him, Kovacic into the midfield makes sense. Loftus-Cheek on the right side, though, didn't make much sense to me. I felt like it would have been much more, I guess, useful to see Ziyech over there get some time, because he's good about playing down that right side and either cutting it back and sending in a great cross with his left, or driving down the line and, a little outside the left foot flick. So I don't know why Ziyech wasn't put in there. And then the final one was Werner for, I think it was Mount. And that just, give Werner some time to hurry the defense and cause some problems up there. I still don't know why he's not starting, though, to be honest. He's somebody that he's not the best on the ball. We know that. But today was a day where we needed people to be running that back line and making runs that are going to trouble them, because Havertz, Pulisic, and Mount do it to some extent. But honestly, for the most part, Pulisic and Havertz are really the two that stayed up there, and they're just waiting for somebody to give them the ball so they can do something. They're not the type of players like Werner who are going to make runs and make the defender go, oh crap, I got to track him. So I don't know why Werner's not playing more often. I don't know what's happened behind the scenes. When Lukaku had his little falling out and he's been in terrible run of form, instead of Tuchel going, okay, well, we'll let Werner step in and see what he can do, instead he's gone to Havertz. So I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but there has to be something, because every time I see Werner play, again, I get he's not great on the ball, he's not good with his finishing, but he's still causing problems. He's still helping the rest of the team build up momentum because of his energy and his work rate up top. So I just don't really get it, and I wish we had an answer for that, because it's something that's kind of frustrating me the more it happens. So that's about all from Tuchel today. As far as individuals are concerned, Mendy, he did have the one moment in the first half where he should have gone with 2 fists instead of the one. He completely mishit it, fell right into somebody's path. I don't remember who. Thankfully, they skied it. But it's one of those moments where you make that mistake and it leads to a goal. That's all Burnley needs. Now they can really pack it in. They don't have to get forward at all, because that's what they're good at, is just being very defensively solid. Just packing it in. Don't have to worry about getting forward. So if you let them have that goal, it's something that can hurt you. So those mistakes are very rare in Mendy's game, but they do still appear every now and then. It's just the more decision-making skills. There's a moment with his feet in the second half where ball comes back to him, and instead of taking a touch and getting it further away, he decides to try to 1-foot volley on the half volley almost, and it goes right down the middle to a Burnley player, and he did something similar against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup final. So he does have these moments where he just makes the wrong decision, and it happens every now and then, and it's something that I hope the keeping coaches are looking at and saying, all right, we got to drill that out, because we can't have that in big matches. Again, matches like today where it is gonna, more than likely, obviously it ended up 4-0, but more than likely it'll be that one goal that decides it. And you can't let Burnley have that chance. You can't let them have that goal in the first half. So, but aside from that, he did fine, made some good saves, was just solid, and then wasn't really tested in the second half. So, in the back line, Chalobah, Silva, and Rudiger again, all of them very solid. Chalobah did have a couple. He as well also has some decision-making things, and that might be because he's a bit younger. But there was that one moment that I remember where he is trying to let the ball roll out, and I don't remember who it was. I think it was Rodriguez. Just comes across clearly in view of Chalobah if he just takes a look and slides in and pokes it before it goes out of bounds. I don't know. It felt kind of silly and needless from Chalobah, and it led to another almost chance again. So I don't know. Again, just the decision making. There's something that hopefully Silva can help him learn, because Silva, his decision making is obviously fantastic, and you hardly ever see him making any huge mistakes. So it is something though that I think Chalobah on the ball and in some of those moments, because also I think back to the Liverpool game when we faced him in the league. There's that one moment where he decides to try to head it, even though it's like right here at his groin level, and it just falls right into, I think, Mane's path, who tucked it away. So there are those mistakes that plague his game every now and then, but for the most part, defensively, he's very solid. He's still very good in the challenge, and he's got enough pace to keep up with anybody getting in behind him. And Silva, again, just typical Silva, winning every header, winning every ball that goes long. Just the typical. he's such a good defender, and he does it so calmly and neatly, and you watch him and you're like, he's 38, or is he turning 38, or he is 38? I can't remember. Either way, he's in his late 30s and he's still doing it at this level. It's ridiculous, and it just shows for defenders sometimes you don't have to be these big, beefy, strong, fast defenders. You just need a good head. You need to read the game well, and he does it so perfectly. Rudiger, the opposite of Silva. He is the big, beefy, strong, fast defender, and for the most part showed his strength today. I will say he typically has those shots from outside the box. Something that he needs to realize, though, is he's at his best at those when he's driving at the goal, because he's started to take touches and try to line up a shot first, and whenever he does that, it doesn't work out very well. They're typically over, or they're just too tame, and they're right at the keeper, and the keeper makes an easy save. But when he's driving and he's full force going forward and puts his leg behind it, it's so powerful, and it knuckles that most of the time keepers do have trouble making a clean save, and it could easily fall to anybody who's awake and ready to go tap it in. So just something that I noticed today. Okay, wingbacks. Saul on the left side was, I'm going to say, average. Because I do feel like he had some decent moments where he worked hard. He is working a lot harder than I remember him when he first came in. So that's good. He's stepped up that part of his game at least. But again, on the ball is where he tends to struggle. He has those moments where it's a bad touch, or his touch is too long, and so instead of a good touch that now sets up for, I've got a chance to cross, his touch is long, and now he has to get to it, which then allows time for the defender to step in, close down the cross. So it kind of balances out where I appreciate the fact that he's working harder, and I appreciate the fact that he is doing a bit more on both sides of the ball, but there's still a lot in his game that leaves a lot to be desired. Again, nothing that I've seen so far this season has convinced me we need to sign him. Most of it has just been, okay, well, he hasn't been a complete waste of money at this point. But that's not, it's really not good enough overall. And then James on the right side, something that I noticed, and this was mainly in the first half, because obviously in the second half we really started to flow and connect a lot better. But in the first half, one of the problems that I was noticing is we had so much possession in the middle of the field, and that's really where Burnley wants you to be. They want you to be knocking it around in the middle, because they're going to have 3 or 4 guys ready to close you down as soon as you take a touch on the ball. Then, if you get it out wide, that's typically whenever they are able to shift, but it leaves some gaps when they have to shift. The problem we were having is Saul, he's not really a wingback. Obviously we had to play somebody there. I actually would have preferred to see Pulisic, but that's another topic. But Saul, because he's more of a midfielder, tends to drift inward. So we didn't really have anybody on the left. James was wide, but typically he was so far forward that there was no way to find him unless we went in behind, and Burnley sits so deep, there's no room to send it in for behind for James. So it would have been better, first of all, obviously for Saul, he's got to get wide. He needs to get wide so he has more space, we can get it out to him. But for James, I want to see him drop in a bit deeper, and it's something I've said for Alonso as well. Just that whenever we win the ball back, that run that takes him instantly next up to the defender. And, they're not right here next to the defender, but it's basically the defender is here. If we try to go across the field to you, that's plenty of time for the defender to step here. there's not really much use of sending it to you right now. So I would like to see them just drop in a bit deeper so that way they can get on the ball, which will cause Burnley to have to shift, and it'll make it more difficult to defend against us instead of we have to keep so much possession in the midfield because we don't have our wingbacks as options. So that was about it for James, like as far as the critiques. The second half, I mean, obviously he stepped it up. Great goal, good assist as well. Just overall, fantastic performance from him in the second half, and more, hopefully, of what we're going to see. And with Azpilicueta coming back from injury, I would like to see Azpilicueta, honestly, on the left side. That way we have Azpilicueta busting it down, up and down the left, and then we have James on the right, really giving us the offensive quality that we want to see out of him. In the midfield, Conte, like I said, he doesn't quite look himself. He was still solid today. He still did his job decently enough. On the ball, he's really been struggling, though. And in the second half, you could see he wasn't quite up to the pace. And you could see he was kind of, he was trying to go, but he wasn't able to really get up to the speed that we normally see out of him. So I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if it's just this constant pain that he's dealing with. He's never fully recovered. He just keeps trying to push himself past it, and it just keeps making it worse. But if that is something, then the physios just need to say, look, we get you want to play. We need to get this fully healed, though, because, I mean, as long as he's dealing with this and as long as he keeps getting himself injured every few games, he's never going to be the same player that we expect him to be. That I've seen this happen to some players where they deal with that constant injury and they go from top of the world, they were a great player, they were fantastic, and then they get that injury and they come back and they never fully recover, and it constantly haunts them for the rest of their career. I don't want Conte to go out like that. So, again, whether it's a physio thing or whether it's a Conte thing, maybe it's in his mind that he's dealing with it. Whatever the case, we need to solve that problem, because until we do, our midfield is always going to lack a little something. Kovacic, he stepped it up recently, and Loftus-Cheek has gotten better this season, but neither of them are really Conte-esque. Kovacic was against Liverpool, but for the most part, he's better when he's on the ball and trying to make stuff happen, not constantly defending for us like Conte does. But yeah, overall, I mean, you're still fine today, just not the level I'm expecting. And then Jorginho was exactly the level I was expecting. Too slow, too weak in the midfield, constantly losing possession, constantly getting turned whenever we're defending. Still don't know how he got third place in the Ballon d'Or, but if you watch him, you're like, that makes no sense. Anyways, front three, Mount and Pulisic, both of them were kind of the trying to make things happen on the ball, where Havertz was, I don't know. It was kind of weird in the first half because there were times whenever Havertz and Pulisic were sitting a bit further forward and Mount was dropped deeper, but then sometimes Mount would step up and Pulisic would try to receive deeper. So it kind of switched between who were the front two and who was the one dropped in trying to make things happen on the ball. But whenever Havertz can't get on the ball, he's just not quite as good, in my opinion. I mean, obviously he got 2 goals and he did step up in the second half, but both of those goals come from lack of marking, really. It wasn't that suddenly he just made a great run. It was the defense turned off and let him into the space where he could easily score. And I don't know, I'm used to seeing him try to make things happen on the ball, and I think that works so much better if he can drop in deeper and try to make something happen, instead of I'm going to sit on the back line and try to get somebody to send it over the top for me, because he's not good at that. And it's something that he struggled with in the first half, and even parts of the second half I thought he struggled with. And I think one of the biggest examples of that is whenever we send it long, if you watch him, whenever he's up against the defender, he hardly ever goes for the header. Most of the time I see him do this where he looks at the defender and he just tries to step in the way to make them make a mistake. Most of the time it turns into a foul because he steps into them instead of playing the ball. But that's all he really has. It happens 3 or 4 times I can remember in this match. So that's not what we need in our striker. We need our striker to be trying to win the ball. Whether it's try to win the header or whether it's have somebody else step in and try to win it and then you play off of that. I don't know. I don't see Havertz as that type of player where he can be the lone striker up there with 2 guys in behind him trying to make things happen. I much prefer if he's the one drop deeper, getting on the ball, turning players, finding space, finding passes. I mean, that's what he's good at. So I just feel like we're not really utilizing him very well. Now, granted, I do think Werner would also not be good when it comes to being the aerial presence whenever we send it long. But that's where, Lukaku should have come in and been that, but he's not been. So why do we sell Giroud again? It's okay. Broja seems like he can do that pretty well, so just bring him back, sell Lukaku, and we're good. Or go get Haaland if he still wants to come. We'll see about that one. But yeah, as far as, I guess, I kind of addressed more Havertz in that. Pulisic, second half, he did step up a bit. First half, I've said this before, I think he's better when he can work in space, and typically Burnley are so compact that he doesn't really have space to run. So whenever he gets on the ball, he's not the Hazard player that can wiggle in and out of challenges and just, oh, yep, you tried to poke it off me, but I rode the challenge and I got away. Most of the time he's going to get it poked off of him or he's going to take the foul. That's just, unfortunately, he's not that type of player. His type of player is much more, you give him the ball and he's good on the counter. You can drive down the line. If he has space, he's very good at taking it at speed, but he's not going to turn you and he's not going to, in and out of a little challenge. Like it happens occasionally, he can do it occasionally, but for the most part, you give him that option to wriggle out of 3 challenges coming in at once, he's going to get out of it maybe 20% of the time. That's being generous. So I just feel like this is the type of game where I don't really expect him to be extremely useful, which is why, honestly, again, I would have liked to see what he could do on the left wing back role instead of Saul, because I think we get him the ball out wide and let him drive down the line, he can make stuff happen instead of Saul, who most of the time would end up getting beat by the defender and getting stripped. That's just my opinion there. And then Mount, again, his finishing quality has not been good recently, but his work rate off the ball and what he does just to try to make the back line be under a bit of pressure, I mean, it's so effective. And it's something that, honestly, I think a lot of people don't recognize whenever he does it, which is why he has so many critics and so many people saying, like, why is he even playing? He can't score. He's hitting the post. He had one-on-one chances. Yeah, but that's, I mean, it's something that he was pretty good at, and obviously he does need to improve that, but that's not his main quality. His main quality is everything he does off the ball, whether it's putting pressure, whether it's making good runs to cause the defense to have to move, very similar to Werner. Just so much more to his game than the finishing, and hopefully that finishing will come along as well, because he was a good finisher under Lampard. Obviously that's dropped off recently, but yeah, I think overall today it was a good example of what he does well, that ability to press the defenders and try to cause them to make a mistake. As far as the subs that came on, Kovacic came on with some good energy and made me really wonder why Jorginho started today, because it's not like Kovacic looked like he was hurting or anything. And Loftus-Cheek, he's not a wingback. He's really being played out of position a lot recently. He's not a defender. He's not a wingback. Why are we doing this to him? It really, because honestly, he's stepped up a lot of his game. He's grown a lot of the other parts of his game outside of the dribbling. But that's still something he's exceptionally good at. That ability to take the ball from deep, ride challenges. Basically what I was saying Pulisic can't do very well. He's very good at it. So why are we not giving him the chance to do that? Why are we constantly putting him in situations where, oh, now you have to cross. Oh, now you have to be more a defender. You can't really leave this position. You can't go on long, busting runs to the midfield. Why are we limiting our players like this? I don't get it. I'm watching and thinking, clearly Tuchel must see this, and then the next game he does the same thing again. So I don't get it. I really don't understand how some of these things seem so obvious, and yet Tuchel doesn't do them, and he constantly inhibits our players and makes sure that they can't really show what they're good at. It's so weird to me, but, I mean, we got the win, so I guess I can't complain about him too much, but there's still that frustration with Tuchel for me. And then the final sub, Werner, which, I mean, he came on later, and he ran around a bit, tried to make some stuff happen. He did basically what I expected Werner to do. And honestly, it was kind of a like-for-like sub because he came on for Mount. So just still gave us more of that energy up top, that ability to close down defenders and, just constantly be in motion. So any 50-50, he's going to be within the vicinity, which is something that Lukaku never does. So it's something that I feel like really makes him underappreciated here. Excuse me. But anyways, with all that being said, I mean, again, it's a good win, solid win, but that first half performance, still shows that there's gaps that need to be filled. There's still performance issues that we're dealing with, and I think some of it is just down to personnel. Again, I know we don't have a Spilicueta or Alonso or Chilwell. However, based on the players that we have out there and the players we have on the bench, I think there's a better lineup than this. I think there's a better team that Tuchel can put out. And maybe he's resting some of them because, two very, I guess, close games back to back. But honestly, I mean, the Liverpool guys should mostly be rested by now. And anybody that played in the FA Cup, there's plenty of time for them to be rested too because they played Wednesday. That's 2 days in between. I mean, it is a quick turnaround, but it's not like that game was super. I mean, that was a pretty small field, so it's not like they're busting it down like a full Wembley pitch. So I don't know. I just don't think there's any real reason to rest anybody. Your next game is not until Thursday, and it's against Norwich. So I don't know. I don't understand why you wouldn't put out the best team that you could possibly put out. That includes Werner, that includes Kovacic. You have players that you could put out there that are better than what you've got, and he doesn't. So I don't get it. I don't understand. But like I said, I'm happy for the win. I'm happy that Burnley is another step closer to relegation. Come on, Everton. But yep, that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on the game? Let me know what we can talk about and discuss. All that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.